All right, let's talk about where content creation and social media is heading in 2025. And honestly, to me, it's giving Black Mirror vibes, if you're familiar with that show. And no, this isn't another one of those prediction videos where I'm telling you that AI is taking over every single job or that you need to pop up on every single platform that becomes a new platform this year. Instead, I want to have a real conversation about what happened to the social media industry and the social media space in 2024 and how that's going to translate into what we see in 2025. And to be honest with you, things got weird and things I feel like are going to get weirder. And if you are a content creator or small business owner in this space, there are a few things that I think you should pay attention to. Now, keep in mind, as we dive into this conversation, these are just my thoughts and my opinions and what I've seen and my predictions, along with my 10 plus years of experience working in the content marketing industry. But by the end of this video, I want you to have a deeper understanding of maybe why you felt kind of exhausted about social media lately and what you can actually do about it. So the first concept that I want to talk to you about is something known as late stage social media. And now, I didn't coin this term, but it is a term that's floating around and getting a lot of traction. And if you're not familiar with this term, think about what happened to shopping malls and like kind of the downfall of the shopping mall across, I would argue, if you're a millennial like me, across kind of like our teenage adulthood lives. And we saw like shopping malls take a kind of a dive off the cliff, and they tried to desperately, pull people into the mall, threw things at the wall, help it stick, sales here, close out this, blah, 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 to try and drive traction to it. And they ultimately lost sight of what people actually wanted in a shopping experience. And we are starting to see that happen in the social media landscape. Every single platform is striving to be every single little thing to every single person. Instagram wants to be TikTok. TikTok wants to be a shopping network. LinkedIn is now adding a video tab. And honestly, it is overwhelming. Like, it is okay to be overwhelmed by that, and I'm not going to tell you any different. While I think we're trying to be innovative, a lot of these platforms are trying to listen to what people want and trying to innovate and create new things, it can also be overwhelming. Those two things do not need to be mutually exclusive. And to peel back the curtain and see what's actually happening amongst all of this is that we are seeing organic reach tank harder than ever. Algorithms are algorithming and doing weird things. And every post is trying to encourage you to make a purchase of something, which again, I don't think is inherently wrong, but it's just different than what we're used to seeing. And again, what we saw happen with shopping malls and what we still continue to see happen with shopping malls is that this is not sustainable. Trying to force things at people, trying to force sales, force this, force an experience that they claim that you want, we're going to start to see people fade away from it. And it's simply not sustainable. It's not sustainable for the platform. It's not sustainable for the creator. It's not sustainable for the consumer. And it's definitely not sustainable for you as a small business owner who is trying to connect with an audience to turn into potential buyers. So I'm not sure where we go from here, but just know that this landscape has changed and that late stage social media is starting to kick in, especially after we've seen these social media platforms rise and fall over the last decade. And now I think we need to address the elephant in the room. The very large elephant is that everyone's tired. Your audience is tired. You are tired. I'm tired. We're all experiencing this thing called social media fatigue, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better. And there are a few things that I'm seeing kind of across the board, no matter which social media platforms you're posting on, creating on, and what social media platforms you might be consuming. There have been a couple of big movements over 2024 and arguably kind of started in 2023, especially as we kind of came out of a post-pandemic world, is that number one, people are mass unfollowing accounts. As somebody sees your content, if they don't align with you or resonate with you anymore, they're going to click that unfollow button. And they'll click the unfollow button for small reasons, big reasons, it doesn't matter. People are going and doing like a big clean out of all of the accounts that they're following. I know I do it quite frequently. And then there's this other concept of a digital detox, and it's not just like a buzzword anymore. It's something that people are actively going through. They're setting time limits on their phone. They are setting boundaries around when they can be on your phone. I know a big one for me is for the first hour or even 2 in the morning, I don't get to pick up my phone and start scrolling on social media. I've had to set those very strict boundaries because I can realize what it's doing to my overall well-being and my tiredness. And again, like I said, it's not a buzzword. It's something that's becoming necessary as a part of our daily lives, and more people are introducing it, and some people are even taking it to the extreme of deleting their accounts entirely. And this last one here is that everybody's online and we're all kind of consuming content, but we're not engaging with content the way we used to. We might give a double tap to like a post on Instagram, but we're not commenting as much. We're not sharing as much. We might be saving stuff. I know I save a lot on TikTok, but we're not engaging with the content in the way that we used to on social media platforms. We used to come onto social media platforms to be social, and now we come onto social media platforms to consume. So there's been a big shift and a disengagement of how we engage. And those comment sections are just kind of breeding grounds for trolls, and they don't feel like a community anymore. DMs are just people hounding you for the link to this, for this question, to help me here, to do this here. And it's not sustainable anymore. And the ironic part about this conversation around social media fatigue is that we are creating and consuming more content than we ever have, but we are building far fewer genuine connections online. I want you to genuinely think about this, even your own social media habits. As you're scrolling, when was the last time you genuinely engaged and connected with a piece beyond just liking it, beyond just saving it? Did you comment on it and start to add your own thoughts, opinions, ask questions? Did you share it with a friend? Did you add it to your story? Are you genuinely engaging with content anymore? And when did it stop feeling like fun and start feeling like a chore or a task that you have to do for your business? And the reality is we're stuck in this very endless cycle. You post, you scroll, you might like, and then you get off the app and repeat that process over and over again. Social media has turned into like this very strange dopamine slot machine. And guess what? Slot machines are rigged and the house always wins. So we're starting to feel this fatigue even more. And now here's something that I think might ruffle a couple feathers. And I'm not the one who coined this statement, but it is a statement that rings very, very true. Everybody now wants to be a creator, but nobody wants to be creative. I think we've started to reach this point where being a creator is a dream job, or it feels like it's a requirement for your business, for your job, for your career. Honestly, I saw a term the other day that I thought was absolutely hilarious. It's called EGC, which is employee generated content. And if you're not familiar with the marketing world, we've had this term called UGC, user generated content, for a while now. And it's just, the average everyday person creating content about a product or brand that they love. But now there's a rise in employee generated content where you're creating content for your employer. Like, it's this whole thing. Again, we all feel like we have to be content creators for some reason. But the kicker here is, what are we actually creating? We're all on the same trends. We're all using the same filters. We all have the same video editing style. We're all creating a video where we pour coffee into that same cup that we all bought on Amazon. And now, this is no shade at anybody. I'm speaking to myself here. I'm speaking about myself. I have become a victim of this very same problem here. But we've all been trained into this weird content creation practice where we see a trending audio, we copy the format. We might change our outfit and then we repeat. And we've all done it. Listen, I am just as guilty as the next person, and I think there is good meaning and good intention behind it. But the problem is we're starting to lose our creativity in the creative work. It's becoming a little bit too systematic. And coming from me, I'm a systems and formula and organization girl, but I'm telling you, when we take the creativity out of the equation and systematize that portion, we start to feel this weird ickiness around creativity. And we used to love creating content because we felt inspired to do so, because we had a message to share, because we wanted to talk to our audience. And now it feels just so formulaic and like we're forced to do so just to keep up. And honestly, again, this is just an unsustainable practice for everybody involved, for the actual content creators, for the business owners that do create content. We're trying to connect with our audiences, but if we're all creating the same things, are we really talking to anybody if they just scroll right on by because they're overwhelmed with seeing the same thing over and over and over again? So where exactly is this all heading? I want you to grab your popcorn because this is where it gets a little interesting and even slightly dystopian. Now, personal opinion here, these are just my predictions based on everything that I've seen and kind of my experience with social media and content creation. I think we're entering what I'm calling the voyeur era of social media. It's not enough to just create the same type of content anymore. People want to see everything, know everything, and be a part of everything that you are doing online. So what I think we're going to see more of is more of that real style content, even though it's more curated than ever. The way I like to think about it is kind of like reality TV, how it seems authentic, but most of the time it's very, very scripted. I think we're going to see a rise of that in social media spaces. I also think we're going to see a massive pushback against perfectly polished content. including like kind of the setup that I have for my YouTube videos here. I don't know what that's going to look like in 2025, but we starting to see an era of like easy YouTube videos or, just jump on Instagram stories, this, that, and the other. I think we're going to see even more of a rise of that less perfectly polished content. I also think we're going to see platforms trying to force authentic moments, kind of like what we saw with the platform Be Real. I could see Instagram, TikTok, and some of these other bigger platforms try and take that approach and really kind of force it into our faces with different features and things like that to kind of make things more authentic and in the moment. And honestly, this last one here is something that a lot of people have been predicting, is the death of like the traditional influencer. Like, we're going to start to see more product integrations. We're going to start to see less of that influencer that has this perfect lifestyle. And instead, we just want to see a stay-at-home mom on her couch talking to us about the products she's using to raise her kids. But here's the big plot twist. This might seem a little humdrum and a little bit scary, but I actually think this is a huge opportunity for us as small business owners. I think while everybody else is trying to be that creator and trying to be perfect in this, that, and the other, I think that opens up space to build those genuine connections again, to be social on social media again. And I think we're going to see that opportunity come up and rise up for small business owners in 2025. Listen, I know this conversation might have seemed a bit doom and gloom, but I think we're actually at a very big turning point that actually feels very exciting. The creators and the business owners that will thrive in 2025, I think, aren't going to have the biggest platforms. They aren't going to have the biggest audiences and the best analytics, this, that, and the other. The people that are going to thrive the most are the ones who care the most about their audiences, the ones who create sustainable content strategies, the ones who focus on genuine connections over vanity metrics, and the ones who aren't afraid to approach social media and do things differently. And now, if you want some help with the content part of this whole equation, and you're ready to build a sustainable content strategy and system for your business in 2025, check out my signature program called the Content System. You can get all of the details at the link in the description below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Let me know what you think about the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe.